Okay, welcome to our welcome to our workshop this week, and our topic is building GameFi on Avalanche. This time we have invited the most two famous projects from our ecosystem. They are Herschend and Chikn. And first, we will welcome Herschend to share some experience to us because they are already get a prize of championing from another hackathon
Yeah,
of Avalanche,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
you
yeah,
guys must
yeah,
be very experienced in how to build a GameFi and develop an Avalanche ecosystem, right? So
yeah, yeah.
please share some
Thank,
experience to us.
okay. Thank you very much. Yes, we are the hackathon champions of the first ever Avalanche hackathon.
Yeah,
And
very
for us developers and especially blockchain developers, winning a mainnet hackathon is really such a great thing, pleasure. When it comes to a mainnet like Avalanche, one of the technically superior really mainnets out there, and when you have in the jury Professor Sirer, the leader of Avalanche, Kevin Seknicki, who are like legendary, very high tech guys, you get excited. But at the end of the day, when Kevin announced our name as the winner, it's a great excitement. I hope all my colleagues, friends, brothers and sisters, developers out there share that experience. Winning is very good, but not so important as you think. It's being there, helping out each other, experiencing the hackathon is really also worth it. So, thank you. And without further ado, if you want, I have a presentation that I would love to share with my colleagues. Is that okay? That I share my screen? Oh, and how do I leave share here? Okay, share screen. Okay, share screen. I think I will share second screen. Maybe I also stop my camera.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So everybody sees my screen now, I believe.
Yes,
Okay.
very clear.
Okay, so I'm going to be talking about how to be building GameFi on Avalanche, which is a big topic. But let's start with the Avalanche Hackathon Championship. This is me, our team, blockchain team mostly. This is Emin Günsirer, the leader of Avalanche. This is Kevin Seknicki, I would say one of the leaders of Avalanche. It's a great pleasure, but as I said, working in a hackathon for an hackathon is good enough. So first, to begin with, let's have the context. Gaming is about $200 billion per year economy. It's a sustainable economy. And with the pandemic now, we have over 3.2 billion gamers out there. So if you guys, you developers, really want to help blockchain mass adoption, gaming could be one of the ways. And I would really safely call 3 billion people using blockchain a mass adoption. And also, blockchain is very popular. It's also growing fast, and it can offer really good things for gaming studios. Okay, so we have GameFi, Play to Earn, and now Metaverse coming. Lots of things, lots of words, very popular in the domain. For game studios, the problems of gamers, especially Play to Earn or Web3 gaming, offers some solutions. Uh, in the past, the gamers, for example, if you played World of Warcraft, you work so hard to earn, to pay and buy and gain your heroes, your game assets, and they are valuable. People want to buy them. You can sell them, but it was not legal and not easy. In open markets, Blizzard constantly fighting you if you want to sell because legally those assets were owned by the game company. So it was gamers' dreams of legal ownership of assets, trading them legally, safely, and easily on open markets. So with NFT technology, which is a part of the blockchain technology, now it's possible for game developers to provide a solution. And since gamers are the end users, I mean, making them happy will win over time, we believe. And when it comes to security, for some context, blockchain offers better security. And with NFTs, proof of provenance, all this link history of ownership and authenticity that's original, it really helps to provide open markets for easy and safe trade of assets. Interoperability is getting more and more popular among gamers with the also metaverse evolution. If I have some game assets, wouldn't be fantastic to use them cross games, because I can get bored for a while. If I've been playing one game for the last hour or two, I might want to jump into another game or another metaverse, kind of like avatars and everything. Also, doing one action in one game can trigger another response in another game. These are interesting stuff. And also governance. Now the gamers, gamers drive the gaming economy, and it would be lovely. They would love that they can govern the game economy they drive. And with the again blockchain technology, they can stake their coins to vote for game decisions. And also, this technology helps also not only gamers but also blockchain mass adoption. Well, last year we've been blockchain. I've been blockchain since 2017, and my brother, also our co-founder at Heroes Chained, my partner in Heroes Chained, he also has been blockchain since 2017, and he's a strong gamer, avid gamer. And after the 2018 bear, he has told me that, bro, gaming is the best use case for blockchain, and he was right. So we with the end of 2020 and beginning of 2021, when we saw some good startups in play to earn, we realized that it's a good timing. And last year, Q2 last year, we started a GameFi, or a blockchain gaming project. And we had icebreakers like us, like Axie Infinity. We are thankful to such icebreakers. But when we started as gamers, or as a game studio, we realized that we need something better gaming experience to sustain the play to earn. We were looking for answers to the questions: where do you find the money when the hype is gone in play to earn? And also, if we want to really solve the gamers' problems of 3 billion people, we need the games that they normally play. So we called it Play and Earn. We wrote a paper about it. You can go and check on our website, Heroes Chained. Play and earn as opposed to play to earn. And in a nutshell, we say game first for GameFi. So we think we need GameFi 2.0. And if the economy and everything is based around a good game, then it can be sustainable. Yesterday, I had a long chat, Zoom chat with Trung Young, the CEO of Axie Infinity, and he was so kind to share his really precious experience on, especially token metrics. We discussed play to earn and play and earn, and we agreed that for the long term, we have to see it as a zero-sum game. If we want to sustain paying the play to earn players, we need to also find ways of other gamers who would pay to play for collectibles, for honor, for aesthetics, but also, I said, for fun games. He also agreed, fun first. So we need to have these great games where some people in the part of the world are willing to pay like $200 billion. So we have this best practices of the video games industry anyway. So our approach is 3 months in United States or Germany, where rich countries, is the same as 3 months in Vietnam. But $300 doesn't mean the same value in United States as it means in Vietnam. So in poor countries, same amount of dollars can mean much more in terms of value due to the life and everything, the economic conditions. But 3 months is 3 months everywhere. So we rely We say time is money, money is time, your time is your money, my money is my time. So we believe that there's a natural sustainability if we use the game first approach and use the best practices of the real game industry. So we need real games out there. We need real game studios. So we know that great games are created by great game developer teams. So it's game first translates to team first. We also in our partners we have Mevding. He's a legend, over 3 decades of game development. He has, well, the previous president of EA Sports calls him a legend. VP of productions of Unity calls him a legend. We also received a lot of his experience. He has developed globally award-winning games for Ubisoft, Activision, you name it. So we've received a lot of expertise from Mev and his team, which is a real game developer team. And also on the visual side, we have Onurcan Charlie in our team, who's the creator of White Walker Straits for Game of Thrones, many huge projects. So, and we decided to develop this beautiful game. But then we had to deal with the blockchain part. We have a very strong game developer team, but blockchain, and we had some hacking issues at the time, which scared us. I was good at blockchain mostly on the theoretical side. I have written papers on consensus mechanisms on the cryptographer mail list. So we checked we looked for some solutions, like platforms we can use that can build these smart contracts automatically for us. Tested, graded by great teams. We found a platform called Engine. You probably know Engine is very strong, very beautiful. Its API GraphQL base was very good, but we had to use their Eng token. But we wanted to have the flexibility to use our own in-game currency token. And we are a game studio. We will be developing more than one games. So we might want to have different token per each game. One game can be single currency, some other game can be double currency. So we wanted flexibility. So we didn't like that idea that we have to use Eng token. Apart from that, the platform was good. It was making all the NFT and relevant blockchain use cases very easy to use. Just fill in the forms, open an account, register, create your company, and fill in forms and upload your NFTs and everything. It was good, but we didn't like that idea. And we kept looking for solutions, and we couldn't find any. So, but then we built we had our friend as blockchain architect, Güven. He's very experienced in blockchain development, and we built our blockchain team ourselves. That's the story of how we got the Avalanche Hackathon Championship. Okay, but not every game studio can do that. We don't, because we had to work so hard to secure the contracts. We also applied to Certic and everything. So we wanted to build this platform for other game studios, because we really want to pull in the game studios, and game studios don't want to learn everything. So, but apart from that, let's also talk about the basics of Web3 development. I have watched my colleagues' previous workshops. I have another colleague today on NFT and everything. So I don't want to repeat. They have taught. They have taught us good web-based Web3 applications with React and everything. We had Morales' colleague going into detail and everything. So I will skip that part. I will skip the browser-based using MetaMask to sign the transactions part. I will focus directly on what a Unity developer, a game developer would feel. But very little basics. So I'm not only a lead developer, but I'm also a software architect. So I want to give this first a framework, an outline of what we're talking about here. So before we move on, I need to make sure that we have the same terminology. So when we say state in the blockchain context, we mean, for example, think about Bitcoin, the simplest and most famous case. In Bitcoin, the state is who owns what, the whole list of who owns what, the addresses and how many Bitcoins. In general terms, state of a system carries enough information so that with a transaction we can compute the next version of the same state. It has enough information to do that. So in this case, it's the addresses versus number of coins they have. In Bitcoin case, very simplified. So transaction is what changes the state of the system. In Bitcoin case, a Bitcoin transaction, for example, Alice gives 10 Bitcoins to Bob. So with this transaction, Alice's wallet has 10 Bitcoins less now, and Bob's address has 10 Bitcoins more. That's the change in the state. And this transaction changes the state of Bitcoin. The log, in general terms, is the ordered list of transactions is the log, and therefore here blockchain of Bitcoin is the log. It's the transactions, sort of ordered transactions. So initial conditions is the genesis block, how we started, what was the state at the first ever moment. So given the initial conditions of a system, any system, and the log of transactions, one can tell at any block or any time, any point in time, what's the state of a system is. Again, if you give me the genesis block of a blockchain system, mainnet, and also the whole blocks of transactions, I can tell you the state of the final block of any block. Okay, with this terminology got out of the way, so my colleagues have described very beautifully the various architecture, but I wanted to make it simplified. So we have a browser for most cases in Web 3, and in front end we have JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. In Web 2, normally we have the same web server serving it, but when it comes to data and the file storage and everything, we again have same centralized machines, devices, servers, either on the web server itself or some other hardware that this has access to, that it can provide this contents with. In the Web3 case, we normally say, for example, in Ethereum case, for example, most mainnets are EVM anyway. So we have this blocks, the database, let's say, or the log of the system and the state of the system we have here. We also have smart contracts that are apps that run on the server. You can think of them as like microservices or services. So, but this takes place on the Ethereum blockchain. Is that simple? No. Let's keep on the Ethereum case. Well, where do we store the content? It turns out that if we want to store it on Ethereum or whatever on the mainnet, the costs are high. The transaction fees are high because these machines, EVM machines, are not as powerful and efficient as due to the decentralization as the Web2 servers are. Then for the Ethereum case, you would also need a side chain to speed up some transactions and lower transaction costs. You would need the graph and everything. And also you want to sign the transactions that are going to change the state of the mainnet with a MetaMask in most cases. If we're talking about Avalanche and we're talking about a web application, the Chrome extension MetaMask is the mainstream solution. And all my colleagues have talked about these already, so I will not go into very detail. I'm calling back to developing on Avalanche. Well, to me, when we wanted to develop a GameFi project, we studied the mainnets, and after the most recent, consensus mechanisms, including Avalanche, which are probabilistic in nature, so it's very fast and without sacrificing too much of decentralization, we didn't want to go with the L2 solutions because we're believers in decentralization. And we had some alternatives. We boiled down to Avalanche and Solana, and we believe in both mainnets. And we just happened to choose Avalanche at the end of the day. We still have good contacts with Solana and everything. And the consensus mechanism is one of the key features of Avalanche, I would say. On L1, you can achieve low latency enough with fair transaction fees. And there's a comparison that I took from Avalanche website here. I need to pause here a little. Transaction finality, normally transaction finality and capacity can be mixed. Transaction finality is the time between you send your transaction request and it gets committed on the blockchain, kind of irreversibly. And the less than 2 seconds is good enough if you do the right architecture. This number here, I believe, is the X chain values. We also have C chain. X chain is the, I would say the native subnet and the chain, and then we have C chain for the EVM smart contracts, which is busy now because most dApps are there, and we had our game first version there as well. But it's very important that Avalanche's, have this subnet approach for horizontal scaling. Remember, transaction finality is one thing, capacity is some other thing. For example, Solana has a very high capacity, but when it comes to transaction finality, Avalanche is faster. So Avalanche's way is to recommend you developers to decide which subnet to install your solution on, or if you want, you can install your own subnet. The code is there. You can download the code. You can install the code on your machine and even work locally with your Avalanche subnet. And Avalanche team is working heavily on the natural bridging of those subnets. So I believe soon, sometime this year, it'll be provided. You don't have to work do anything. So even if you install your app, your blockchain on an Avalanche subnet or of your own subnet, it'll automatically be connected to the C chain and everything. So connection is important because you want your token holders to be able to do stuff on DeFi, on other subnets. And of course, also multi-chain support to be able to carry them easily to Ethereum and so on. So these are the things you should keep in mind when we're talking about transaction per second. So if you are having a huge game with a lot of transactions, one, I would not recommend you, and if you want to do these smart contracts and everything, you would normally go to C chain for more flexibility. But C chain is very packed. It's due to popularity of Avalanche these days, which is good. And you may not want to do that, depending on the parameters of your game. If it's a AAA game or if it's a high quality game with millions of gamers, lots of transactions, you should have your own subnet. Secondly, if your game is very simple and if you can be okay if sometimes C chain has this congestion, transaction gets slow and transaction fees can increase, but it doesn't matter. According to my gameplay, I can have all the transactions done immediately on chain, and my gamers can wait and sometimes can pay the transaction fees. Not a problem. If that's the case, you can do it maybe on Avalanche C chain. But for most cases of game studios, including ours, I wouldn't suggest you to do so. I would suggest you to have this conceptual separation. Remember the state of the system. In this case, I divide state into two. One, the game state. Two, the value state. Game state has all the things that we all know as game developers, like the gamers, heroes, environments, all game mechanic related information. It all forms the game state, and we keep doing what we've been doing so far without blockchain. We use our Amazon servers or whatever, the databases we use that are central, yes, of course, but it's gaming, and we're talking about game state. It has to be very fast. And we keep using the best practices that we're used to. We're game developers. We know what to do there. The value state is like everything that has a value, dollar values. Could be the token, the in-game currency, NFT items, assets, resources that have a value. Those, why I separate it, because those can be, persisted and transacted on the blockchain. So we want to limit, you would like to limit usage of blockchain just to what it is good at, not what it's not good at. And also, even then, for some of the things like NFTs or like resources that are common, not so valuable, that are not going to be sold on open markets, just gamers change them, trade them in the game only, and they're not so valuable. You might, and highly transactional, you might not, you might still want to put them as game states and now don't bother with the blockchain issues there. So this is the first thing I need to be talking about here when I talked about the 4,500 TPS that is written on the Avalanches. So that's the caveat. That's probably X chain. C chain might be tighter, which is still good, but for these high quality games, we might want to go with the subnet alternative. Okay, and so for the game developer, the issues are for blockchain issues are, I would need to create a token for my as my in-game currency. Like in our case, Heroes Chain has a token called Hack. It's traded in Huobi and some dexes. So, and also I would have NFTs. There's some terminology differences here. You can say NFTs are unique, or like some stuff, game assets, like which can have 1,000 pieces of the same thing. You can call them FTs, fungible tokens, or NFTs with not unique, but with some rarity and everything. You can call them FT, NFT, and token. So the terminology there's not is not settled. So you would want to be managing your NFTs, NFT collections, everything that has a value in the game. Game asset can be an NFT. The land, the hero, the sword, resources, gold, anything, wood, and everything can be NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And you have to learn how I create token smart contracts. These are all smart contracts. And in VM case, in Avalanche, it's an Ethereum virtual machine. So we're talking about Solidity here. So an ERC20 token, we want to create smart contract. We want to create for our in-game currency, or ERC721 NFT token, or we have ERC1155 and everything, all these new standards coming. So these are all smart contracts we have to know about, because we're going to create those, customize them, and test them, and then publish them on the mainnet. And once published, you can't change the code. That's the beauty of smart contracts. That's what it makes it trusted. So you have to get these done correctly, and then you have to have tokenomics, like am I going to raise some tokens in public round, private round? How is the rewarding of the gameplay, play to earn mechanics? And these are all smart contracts, and very sophisticated smart contracts. And if you want to add your own DeFi, how my token holders can have passive income and everything, they become very complicated. And you have to, the MetaMask wallet makes it very complicated. My gamers cannot learn it. I want to bring in the real gamers out there, lots of learning curve. Then you might want to think about custodial wallet support option, which we do, but then you need to develop a wallet. And we have a lot of details there. And ICO, you want to go crowd-selling, the marketplace with the NFT collections, you want to create multi-chain support and everything. So this becomes hell. We've witnessed that. Our game developer studio, they didn't want to learn that. And so now, how can we learn to do that? And with the hackings and everything. So a team that I am a part of, that I advise, is also developing the best practices we had experienced as a platform to the game developers. So it's a demo. I can send the link later. You register, and then you just fill in some forms. You register your user. You can open your game studio as a company, many companies, your games, and underneath the games, you just create, you just fill in forms for your tokens, token name, ticker, decimal number of decimals. Is it going to be fixed cap? You fill in the forms with the tooltips and everything, and then you say generate token. Your token is created. You can link it to your game, to your company. You can have double tokens, single tokens, and all that. All just have to do is fill in a web form with the tutorials and tooltips, and it creates the smart contracts automatically for you. And it also does the same for NFT collections and everything I have shown you here. You don't have to know nothing about blockchains. All you have to do is use the platform. There are some other platform projects out there as well. Moralis is one of them, but Moralis is more on the blockchain developer side. They're trying to make it easy for the blockchain developers. But this in this platform, for example, is for the game developers or for the Web2 developers mostly. Okay, so let's do some coding. I believe it's going to be better if we do some coding. Okay. So this is the so I requested the guys from that platform to showcase how we do development. Okay, the platform I talked to you about has published a strong API, very similar to Engine's API. It's GraphQL, and they also have RESTful API alternative. So this is GraphQL. When I'm going to use it, has some pros, but yeah, RESTful API has also its own pros. In GraphQL, language mutations are those that change the state of the system, and queries only just get functions. You can create user, you can log in user. In our case, this is the login user I can use. So these are the variables, like I'm just working with some stuff. And so you can also use rest sharp or curl or whatever you like, and the code for example, in this case C sharp, if I select C sharp, for example, and resharper, it gives you the code that is necessary for you to apply immediately. And for C sharp, I selected C sharp here because I'm using it mostly. And like Unity developers, for example, most game developers prefer C sharp. It's a stronger type language, also supported by Unity as well. So I copy it and paste it here as well. So we have developed also here a sort of an SDK for Unity developers out there, for also C sharp developers out there. So all you have to do is just download this from the Unity Asset Store. The script, this is an API manager script. You can also easily, edit as a component here. For example, I have added it to the canvas game object. You can, you edit here, you search for it, and voila, you have it here. And we have exposed some public variables here. This is the URL that you want to connect. This is the API URL here. So you can change it from here. So it's much easier to develop. Okay, so that was the code I copied and pasted. With a caveat, I just got the username and password here from code. So what it does, with this API manager, yes, once you download it from the App Store and use it the way I shown you, the rest is very easy. For example, the login method is here. You connect to the service with the URL, and you arrange the headers and everything. Then it returns you an object, and use the Newton source JSON link parser. You can use whatever you like. I use this one, and then you get this object, J object. And remember, we have two methods parameters here, on success and on failure, and with returning API results. So if the so we get the object, and we get the data, login user info status, and if it's true, we can see it here. Data, login user info status. If it's true, we invoke on success. Otherwise, we invoke on failure. So let me check where we use it. This is just a code I just have done for here. Okay, I can also speak here. We have this API manager type object here in our game one GUI CS file, which is also uh, here. It's connected to here. So the on-click methods and everything are here. I'm not going to go into detail. Unity developers know what to do. But uh, uh, we create an instance of that object, and we use the API objects login method I shown you here, and we put the username and password. We had two parameters. Remember, one on sex. I used the lambda thing here instead of creating all the methods and everything. On success, if it's true, the on success method will work. If it fails, we're going to use the on fail method here. So we debug and everything. Remember the object we had as a parameter, and we get this is Unity thing. This is between sessions to persist some important data. So game player ID we persist with username, and we get an authentic this API. All APIs usually do that. They give you a token for security per session, and we also set it and player references. Remember data, login user token we have gotten here. We use the usual logging here, and we use the same API get player role. I'm not going to go into detail. It's the same thing. You can go to the API's place. You can play with it. Where is that? Right in the wallet. Yeah, you know what to give. You can get sample codes, copy paste, and then you use the method with the parameters, and you get your in this case I'm debugging, and I want to show you that we can get the private keys even in various cases. And while developing, it's good to have private keys in my hands so that I can play around with them. But normally you don't do that. Of course, private keys are secret. You have to keep them secret. So you can set them, and you can set all the parameters and everything, and very easily you can get away with that. So here, the main message is, if you're a Unity developer, and most probably you're going to be using C#, which is a strongly typed language and comes like its default integration and strong integration with Unity. You should also be using such platforms that they provide you with such beautiful API with GraphQL and RESTful API alternatives. Even some C# developers would love to have SOAP service alternative as well. I'm going to ask these people if they can provide a SOAP as well. I recommend RESTful and Graph, but just for strongly typed development, they find easy. So you use a strong API with all the functionality you need, and also with a Unity Store downloadable, free of charge, open source SDK or an object, a script, and then you just the rest is, as you know, you download it, you open it in Unity, and then you add it as component to whatever object you like, game object you like. You put it wherever you like. Your main screen, probably this is the game one loader here, where you're going to log in and everything. And then once you add it here, the most important parameters are public, and here you can access them. Here you can change them without delving too much into the code, and then you can use them from other parts of your projects. The rest is, object-oriented programming, all these scripts using each other. Let's show it lastly here. For example, game one, GUI C#, this class, obviously, okay, they all inherent from mono behavior of Unity engine. And so you can use, so you can also include all the necessary things, including our API. and then you can start coding within your same project. In this scenario, on top of the MetaMask web app wallet integration, I just wanted to show you what you can do directly in C# without going to the web browser. I showed you for logging in to the API, but getting the wallets and everything, then you can all write using such API, you can write your own custodial wallet options. In custodial wallets, you have to take care of the keys, the custody. You may want to use one pool of wallets, and centrally want to manage your gamers' assets yourself, or you can have a wallet per gamer, but the keys, the private keys, you can have your own custody. And custodial wallet option gives you some responsibility for security, but also gives you flexibility and ease of use for the gamers. So using such API, you can write your own wallets in the game UI as, I don't know, and HUD in heads-up display mode in your game, user interface, so that your gamers find it easy to start playing your game. Don't have to learn everything for MetaMask and everything. We're talking about real gamers that are non-coiners. Then, with the help of gamification, teaching them, making them learn blockchain at their own pace, they can transcend to the on-chain world and then have their own MetaMask wallet or on-chain wallet, and then claim all the NFTs and tokens they own from you to their own wallets. But until that time, can provide the option of having your own wallets in game and all the other blockchain developments through an API. Thank you for your time. I think that wraps up my workshop.
Thank you. Very, very useful and helpful sharing. Thank you, Erwin.
Yeah, I want to thank. I wanted to show, because I have seen beautiful React and web examples. There's many of them. I just want to show something from a Unity development environment. And wrap up the concerns.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you again. Okay,
You're
take care. And let's welcome the next one, our senior engineering from Chikn, right? Debbie, can you hear me?
Hey, hey.
Hey, hello.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
Your face.
This is my face. What are you talking about?
Okay. Okay, cool. So I think Chikn already has a unique like culture among your community.
Yep, definitely. We've got an incredible community. They've got a life of their own. They're well known within the Avalanche space. And if you're not part of the Chikn fam, I strongly encourage anyone listening to join. It's a wonderful place to be, particularly in the Discord. But yeah, also, if we have significant demand, we should definitely ramp up our game on Telegram as well. We know we have a lot of our beautiful Asian community over on Telegram. So if the demand fits, we'll absolutely ramp up our game over there too.
Cool. So have you prepared your presentation?
Absolutely. It's just going to be my beautiful voice speaking at you for the next few minutes. And I just want to run you through the power of gamified NFTs.
Okay.
So thank you so much for having us. Essentially, if you don't know about our project Chikn, we launched with 10,000 upgradable NFTs roughly 5 months ago now. Back when the NFT scene on Avalanche was relatively small, I think the highest market cap at the time was $3 or $4 million for an NFT project. We sort of blew through this ceiling to $20 million. And since, we've seen many projects follow suit and sort of blow through that mental market cap ceiling of 3 or 4 million as well. So we're very proud to have set a new standard and a new sort of price discovery for NFTs on Avalanche. And I want to tell you a little bit about how we've done that, or about how we think we've done that. My profile picture that you can see here isn't actually a chicken. It is a rooster, which we've announced minting on the 31st of March. So put that one in the calendar. That is our next series of NFTs called Rooster. Now, if you don't know much about Chikn, it's definitely worth heading over to chikn.farm. That's the URL there, chikn.farm. It'll basically break everything down nicely for you. Again, if anything is unclear, feel free to jump in the Discord. Everyone will answer your questions. But essentially, we operate on what's called a tri-token architecture. It's nothing too technical, but it's just sound fundamentals. So we believe in drawing a lot of synergies from the world around us, and in digital architecture, there is no reason to steer clear of the tried and tested rules of physical architecture. Triangles are the strongest shape, and Avalanche knows this. That's why the Avalanche logo is a triangle. And we think the digital architecture of tomorrow can absolutely be based around the same sort of principles. So for us, our tri-token architecture for Chikn, and the basis of our ecosystem, consists of the Chikn NFT, which lays egg, which is an ERC20 token. And you can stake egg for feed, another ERC20 token, and you can feed that chicken with that ERC20 token to upgrade its metadata and make it bigger. So that is the central value proposition of NFTs in our ecosystem and of Chikn. And it's a very simple process, but a very valuable one, because once you start seeing ERC721 tokens be upgraded, not only do you get an individual value proposition with its own rarity metrics in each individual NFT, but you also get metadata that can be intentionally upgraded as you play the game. So we're incentivizing our users to interact with their NFTs and to upgrade them over time. This means that they have to check in regularly, feed their chicken, and make them bigger. Now, why would you want to make your chicken bigger? We've talked a lot about within our community about our coming active gameplay, our play and earn game offering, which we're affectionately titled Cockfight from this point, where Chikn and Rooster will be available to fight each other in the Metaverse. This game is under development currently, but also at the minute we've got all of our idle gameplay up and running, such as roosting your chicken and farming for feed. We've recently gamified the farming aspect of Chikn Farm by releasing the Farmland NFT. There are still a few of these available for mint on the website at chikn.farm/mint. Now, the Farmland NFT is, again, a first-in-class NFT, which you can upgrade with egg in order to upgrade your very own personal LP farm. So your Farmland NFT looks somewhat like something you might see out of Farmville or Minecraft or other 3D sort of block worlds like this. But the capabilities of your Farmland NFT are far beyond what you'd expect. So by upgrading these NFTs using egg, which is our primary utility token and used for governance at Chikn, you are able to increase the capacity of rewards that your farm can hold. So it just makes sense, right? If your farm is bigger, you can have a bigger crop, you can yield more. And also in time, with the token that the rooster will lay, you will be able to upgrade the fertility of your farm, meaning, upgrade the quality of the soil, and therefore your farm has higher quality yields and higher quantity yields. So that directly will upgrade your multiplier for farming. So it's a very simple principle, but essentially it allows each individual farmer to have linear rewards as opposed to share in a pool of rewards. Why is that important? Well, we can all see with DeFi and yield farming at this current juncture that if you're part of a pool, it can be diluted by other whales coming into that pool and injecting far more capital than what you're able to inject, meaning they get a larger portion of the pie while you're left with a smaller percentage, meaning you might not end up with sustainable yields over time. Whereas with this, we're able to actively manage our yields by getting people to burn egg to upgrade the size of their farm, and then burn the token that Rooster lays to upgrade the fertility of their farm. And that means that everyone's running their own race, everyone's playing their own game, and you are in direct control of whether or not you are yielding more over time or staying the same. But you'll never yield less, if that makes sense. So the first LP farm that is available is going to be egg, the egg and AVAX pair, which you can pull on Trader Joe for feed rewards. I'm just going to pull up an example of Chikn farm for you to look at. Apologies, my preferences are disallowing me from sharing my screen at this point in time, but I'll get that happening. With these examples, you might be able to see why it's such an important value proposition for upgradable NFTs. Can you still hear me? Are we still going live? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We can still hear you.
Great. So with these, if you're not looking at the Chikn website, I highly encourage you to do so. I will be sharing the screen right now, but my permissions aren't set, and it would mean I'd have to quit the meeting, so I'm not going to do that. But essentially, with this tri-token architecture, we feel it's important to sustain any ecosystem with simple principles of inflation and deflation and supply and demand. I think a lot of technicalities in the space recently have meant that developers are straying away from these simple fundamentals. Developers are getting a little bit cute with things like rebasing tokens and things like this. There is time and space for these things, but I think fundamentally, if any network is to succeed and any network economy is to succeed, you need to fulfill the simple principles of inflation and deflation, supply and demand, and manage this balance very delicately. And that is really what is running under the hood of Chikn and the tri-token architecture. We will absolutely be revealing more over time, but at this point, it may be clear to you now that while the Chikn lays egg, this is the only NFT that will ever lay egg. A lot of people are likening Chikn to nodes on a network, and they produce the currency that then fuels the rest of the network, which is egg. Now, every other NFT that jumps onto this network consumes egg to upgrade or to function. So the farmland NFT burns, and all egg that is used is burned. So that's how we manage the inflation and deflation problem. And supply and demand is a very simple one, because every time people want to mint NFTs or use NFTs on our network, there is a requirement in egg. Now, at the moment, the mint that is occurring with farmland is quite unique in that we're asking that people who want to come and mint a farmland show that they know how to LP farm. So we're actually getting people to burn LP tokens from Trader Joe. Now, while that's a foreign concept for a lot of people, it's actually quite a simple process. We've got all the links there ready to go. Essentially, all you need to do is head over to Trader Joe, add equal portions of egg and AVAX as liquidity, and generate 16 JLP tokens. Now, once you have those JLP tokens, it's approximately equivalent to 120 egg and equivalent AVAX. And once you have those 16 JLP tokens, you can head back to Chikn Farm/mint and mint a farmland by burning those tokens. You'll never get them back. We never get access to them. No one ever has access to them. They're burned permanently, meaning it's a permanent contribution to liquidity in egg. Now, this is great for the ecosystem. It's also great for price stability. And these are the sort of things that are going to be really important long-term to enable a project like this to succeed. Essentially, that's what the last 5 months has been about, is building the foundations of this project that is going to hold us in good stead to expand infinitely into the future. What does that expansion look like? Well, obviously, we've got Rooster coming out on March 31st. That's a very important addition. That will be the next NFT creature, so to speak, that and the very first one that upgrades using egg. It itself lays another extremely valuable token within our ecosystem. We are, as of yet, unannounced as to what that token is called, but we know that the functionality involves upgrading the fertility of your farmland, and that is a very important thing for farmers. Now, I lastly want to speak about how this ecosystem expands into the future. And that is going to be through our launchpad, which we're currently calling Ignite. If you can think of a rocket igniting, that'll give you an idea of what Ignite is all about. It's using the egg token to bootstrap other projects into the Avalanche blockchain and turn them into upgradable powerhouses, just like Chikn. And they'll be using our egg token to upgrade. So the services we sort of offer is current and so existing or new NFTs to come to Chikn, come to Ignite, and allow us to assist in the process of converting your stagnant JPEGs to upgradable NFTs, meaning you can gamify them for your own purposes. You can launch your own token, things like this. Now, if we look at Ethereum, for example, there are a lot of dormant NFTs over on the Ethereum blockchain. If they wanted new life, for example, they see the low transaction fees and what is possible over on Avalanche, and they see a service that is offering the bootstrapping of their NFT community into the Avalanche blockchain. I think that is going to be a very interesting value proposition for them in the future. We're anticipating a lot of interest from this space. We already are getting it without having launched Ignite. And so we highly encourage any communities or any members of any communities of Ethereum NFTs that feel they have serious life beyond what they're seeing right now to get in touch with us. Our email is contact@chikn.farm. It's never too early to contact, even before Ignite is launched. Absolutely, we want to hear from you. And lastly, I just want to celebrate our community and the fact that because we launched very organically and very much as a technology first project, we've had a lot of developers in our community from day one. We now have a full API available for people to build their own tooling off of. We've had some amazing tools built for the Chikn ecosystem thus far. We've got things like coq.money, coq.money. We've got a whole host. I'm just trying to pull up the entire list here. We've got a whole host of what we call a toolbox, BOKS, full of other third-party tools that have been built on top of Chikn Farm. Ones like Bok Terminal, RateMyCock.com, BokBokCoop, which is a whole news resource, a Chikn tracker. We've got a whole stake cycling tool and a whole strategizing tool as well. And these tools can be really, really easily built out with our API, which is the URL is api.chikn.farm. And you're pretty much able to access a whole array of endpoints from our API. So if you're a developer and you want to develop some tooling on top of the Chikn farm, please, we urge you to go and have a look at the API and maybe see what you can sink your talons into. We know that this is a workshop and not just a lecture. So I want to create a final call to action for people out there. I think this space evolves incredibly quickly, and it's innovate or die more often than not. In our view, it's very much for NFTs a stage of gamify or die. We're seeing this gaming revolution unfolding extremely quickly, and pictures of things aren't going to cut it anymore in terms of NFTs. NFTs need to be something that people can interact with. They need to be the beginnings of a game at the very least. That game doesn't have to be a 3D RPG. Idle games are extremely popular. We see that worldwide. And idle games oftentimes are what people have a lot more time to play. So we really pride ourselves on the development of idle gaming as well as active gaming. We think there's room for both and there's demand for both. But I think we're quickly moving away from the days where an inactive JPEG is good enough to survive as an NFT. I think NFTs need things like upgradable metadata to stay relevant and to thrive in the next in the next wave of what NFTs and GameFi are going to bring us, particularly on the Avalanche blockchain, where a lot more is possible. I want to thank you guys for having us on, and I want to throw open quickly to any questions. If anyone wants to ask any questions, we're more than open to it. You don't have to ask now. You're more than welcome to get in touch with us privately or through Discord or through Twitter. We're always open to chat. And we do have a high volume of questions coming through daily, but we will do our best to get back to you as soon as possible.
Cool. So, first, I wanted to congratulations to you guys. You have achieved such as achieve so many holders and get a strong community like that. So, very good for you.
Thank you. And we couldn't be more grateful to our community. I think we're incredibly lucky to have them. They love our project as much as we do.
Cool. So very happy to have you here, and thank you for your sharing.
Not at all. Thank you for having us.
Okay. So that's all for our today's workshop. So thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.